Listen, I want to tell you one thing right away. This story is not just about a company. It's about people. About the courage to dream where everyone doubts. About falling, from which strength emerges. About the moments when the whole world looks at you skeptically and you decide to move on. And in the end, you will understand that the lessons of this story can be applied to your own life. Imagine a small workshop. An iron door with a small signboard reading CTR. That's what IBM was called back then. Inside, it smells of oil, paint, and something vaguely reminiscent of the future. Punch cards are scattered on the tables, little pieces of cardboard with holes that look funny when you look at them from the side. But that was all for us. Here, a dream was born that would one day change the world. People around us laughed. They said, "These are toys for accountants. No one will take this seriously." Every step forward was accompanied by doubt. Every decision by the fear of failure. I saw the first machines break down, clients refuse contracts, competitors mock behind your back. And what do you do at such moments? Some give up. Some shout that everything is lost. And we decided to move on. It was a small team of people with big hearts and even bigger dreams. Here came Charles Flint, who believed that even in simple punched cards you could find a way to the future. Here came the first workers who fixed the mechanisms at night while everyone else was asleep, because they believed, if not now, then never. And even when everything around was screaming, "Nobody needs this," we took a step forward. The smell of paint, the clatter of punch cards, the clanking of machinery. Every sound was like the heartbeat of our dream. And I want you to remember this. Great things begin with a small knock in the dark, and it is that knock that will one day change everything. If you're ready, I'll tell you how those first, seemingly unremarkable days grew into a story that will amaze the whole world. And believe me, it will be unexpected, full of ups and downs, dramatic decisions, and unexpected breakthroughs. I remember the day it all started. It was 1911, and the company was still called the Computing Tabulating Recording Company, CTR, a long, complicated name that no one remembered. We were a small team of people with big dreams. Our offices resembled a workshop. The smell of oil and paint mixed with the smoke of gas lamps. The mechanisms rattled. The punched cards fell to the floor, creating a strange, almost musical rhythm. Charles Flint was the first to believe in us. People around us just chuckled, smiled skeptically. "These are toys for accountants," said our competitors. I saw clients refuse contracts. The first machines break down because of small mistakes. And what did you feel then? Fear, doubt, despair. But at the same time, there was a feeling that if we don't do it now, no one will. And then we chose courage. We worked at night. The light from the lamps flickered, reflecting off the bar-shaped metal parts. Our hands were smeared with oil, and our hearts beat with one thought. This small undertaking will become big one day. Sometimes one of our colleagues would say, "We can't stand this." And Charles would quietly answer, "If not us, then who?" And we would get back to work. It was amazing to see how from small punched cards, the clatter of mechanisms, and the smell of paint something was born that would one day change the world. We did not yet know that our machines would help calculate millions of data points, that they would become the basis for space programs and supercomputers. We just knew one thing. No one would do it for us, and even if everyone laughed, we had to move forward. The dream seemed impossible at the time, but it was the small steps we took in the darkness of the workshop that became the foundation for future breakthroughs. And I want you to feel it. Every sound, every tap of a punch card, is the heartbeat of a big dream that still needs to be protected so it can grow. And then came the first real challenges. The 1920s and 1930s were years of instability. The economy was faltering. Competitors were watching our every move, and our machines sometimes broke down at the most inopportune moments. I remember the evening when one of our first big customers turned down a contract. They stood in the doorway, looked at our punch cards and mechanisms, and said, "This is a waste of time." I was overcome with a sense of defeat, a feeling of difficulty breathing when your work, your dream, seems ridiculous to someone. We would gather at night in the workshop, feeling like the whole world was against us. People would say, Why do you need this? Others are already doing it better. It was scary at times. And I remember one day, when another mechanism broke down, I looked at the team, at their faces, their tired hands, their eyes shining with the desire not to give up. And then I realized, if we give up now, we will lose forever. It was not only a technical crisis, but also a human one. People doubted themselves, us, and the future. But it was then that I began to learn the main lesson. A crisis is not the end. It is a test of perseverance, of the ability to fight, even when it seems that there is no chance. We fixed the machines by hand, corrected the errors, convinced customers to give us another chance. Each small victory was like a breath of air in the dark. And it was through these first failures that we learned to value people and quality above all else. We began to build not just machines, but trust. All these failures shaped us, made us stronger. Those who stayed together became a team that could one day change the rules of the game on a global scale. It was painful, it was scary, it was dark. But from darkness, light is always born. And we took our first step forward, pulling our dream out of ridicule, doubt, and failure, believing that one day the whole world would look at us with completely different eyes. Everything changed when Thomas Watson Sr. took the helm. I remember the moment he first entered our workshop, tall, stern, but with eyes that glowed with an inner fire. People around him chuckled. Another boss, another bureaucrat. But he was different. He saw not only machines, not only numbers. He saw people, their perseverance, their faith in the future, and he understood that this was the main resource. Watson began to introduce new rules, a new culture. Think was written on every desk, on every board. Not just a word, but a call to action. It forced us to look further, to dream bigger, to feel responsible not just for the machines, but for what we were creating for the world. These were the first real steps forward. But it didn't come easy right away. Skeptics shouted that we were too slow, that the market wasn't waiting for us. Some employees were afraid of change. I saw them standing in meetings and whispering quietly, "This won't work." And then I learned another lesson. Leadership is not about ordering, but about inspiring. And Thomas Watson did that. We started creating machines that worked more stably, more accurately, faster. Each victory was small, but it gave us the strength to move on. And most importantly, we learned to appreciate the people around us. We were not just creating equipment. We were creating a team that believed in a common dream, that was ready to take risks and work nights if necessary to prove we are capable of more. This first big breakthrough showed us that even after crises, we can rise higher. We learned to turn doubts into energy and failures into motivation. And then, when the world didn't believe in us yet, we already started building the future. And then came the moment when our first steps forward turned into a real revolution. The 1940s and 1950s. The world was already changing, and we stood on the threshold of something that seemed incredible even to us. Punch cards were no longer just a tool. They were becoming the key to a new era of computing. But it wasn't all easy. There was a debate within the company. Why take the risk with electronic machines? It's expensive, it's dangerous, nobody needs it. Some of the team wanted to stay in the familiar, safe world of mechanics. I could feel a chill of fear running through the hall where we were testing the first electronic systems. Every day was a test. I remember that evening, when the light of the lamps flickered in the darkness of the laboratory, and we fixed the first electronic computing machine. Every sound, every click of a relay echoed in my head like the heartbeat of the future. Someone on the team almost wanted to stop. Nobody needs this. We're wasting time. And then I realized that everything depended on us, and we decided to take a risk. This risk paid off. The machines began to work stably. The accuracy of calculations was impressive. For the first time, we felt that we could not just meet the needs of customers, but create what previously seemed impossible. And most importantly, we learned to believe in ourselves, even when others laughed or doubted. Here, in those dark laboratories with blinking lights and clattering machinery, a new IBM was being born. It was no longer just a company that counted punch cards. It was becoming a force that could change the world. And it was here that we learned the most important thing. To become great, sometimes you have to go against all odds and risk everything you have. The world began to pay attention to us. 1960s and 1970s. IBM was no longer just a small company in a workshop with blinking lights. We were going international, signing big contracts. Our machines were calculating millions of pieces of data, and the space program was starting to use our computers. But the breakthrough wasn't easy. Competitors scoffed, some customers were skeptical, and there was a debate within the company. This is too big, we can't handle it. I remember conferences where Watson Jr. stood in front of hundreds of people, his heart pounding, and he said, "We're not doing this just to be big. We're doing this to." The images of those days, huge computer rooms, cables, glowing lights, men in white checking every wire and every detail. The moment our system for the space program successfully calculated the trajectory of a rocket became a symbol for us that the impossible is possible. Those who had laughed at first now watched in admiration. We learned that true strength lies not in technology alone, but in a team that believes in a dream, even when the world doubts it. IBM became an empire not because of machines, but because of people who create the future, not afraid to take risks. And it was here, in moments of global breakthroughs, that we learned another lesson. The scale of success comes when you dare to dream bigger and lead. And suddenly everything was different. The 1980s and 1990s. The world was changing faster than we could keep up. Personal computers were exploding on the market, competitors were advancing at a breakneck pace, and IBM was under pressure like it had never felt before. Investors were screaming that we were too slow, that we were falling behind. Inside the company, people were wondering, we used to be leaders, and now, are we still capable of this? I remember those meetings. The room is full of trembling voices and nervous looks, and you feel like this is a moment of choice. You can give up, you can fall, or you can take a risk and turn the crisis into an opportunity. We chose the latter. It was scary. There were many people who said, "This is the end of IBM." But deep down I knew one thing. The company does not die as long as the idea lives, as long as there are people who are ready to believe and act. We began to look at ourselves in a new way. We decided to restructure the business, to focus on service, consulting, and innovation, and not just on selling computers. This decision was met with criticism. Some on the team whispered, "They're giving up." But then we got together, looked each other in the eye, and realized, if we don't change, we'll disappear forever. This crisis became the fuel for transformation. And it was here that we learned another rule. Adaptation is likely to determine your future. Everything changed when Lou Gerstner came to the helm. 1990-2000, IES. Many thought that IBM was in decline and that it would never return to its former greatness. I remember the moment when he first gathered the management. The light in the large hall reflected off the glass tables. The heart was pounding, and he simply said, "We change or disappear. The choice is ours." Many of us were confused. Some employees whispered, "This is too risky." But Gerstner made us see through the doubts. He turned fear into energy, doubt into a plan of action. We began to change. From selling computers to services, from focusing on products to solving customer problems. It was a radical step that scared many, but it opened the way to the future. I remember the nights when the team worked on new solutions for customers, testing applications, testing processes. We broke old patterns, took risks, but each successful implementation gave us the strength to move forward. It was a moment when IBM felt alive again, powerful, capable of innovation. We learned another truth. The courage to change is the key to survival. Sometimes you have to go against the established rules, against doubts, against your own fear. It was this period that transformed IBM from a lagging company into a giant of the modern technological world, ready for global challenges and major breakthroughs. And so we came to a time when the world changed forever, and IBM changed with it. 2010 to 2020. Now we were no longer just producing computers or offering services. We were on the threshold of an era of artificial intelligence, supercomputers, and global solutions that could change the lives of people around the world. But again, there were doubts. Critics said, AI is a fad, not a technology of the future. Quantum computing is just an experiment. IBM will lose the market if it takes risks. I remember the day the team first put Watson to the test against humans on Jeopardy. The world laughed. Many said, "This is a show no one needs." But inside us was a nervous excitement, our hearts pounding so hard that it seemed everyone around us could hear it. And when Watson started winning, when the program was giving accurate answers faster than the smartest contestants, we realized that this was not a show, this was a revolution. We worked day and night, testing algorithms, analyzing millions of data points, building systems that could help doctors make accurate diagnoses, banks assess risks, researchers predict the weather. Every win, every accurate prediction, every customer who looked at us with admiration was proof that the courage to take risks pays off. And quantum computing. Imagine a huge machine where you see only light, lamps, cables, and you understand. This is not just a tool. This is the future of science, the future of medicine, the future of humanity. People around us doubted, but we moved forward because we knew. Those who don't take risks don't open new horizons. We learned another thing. Large-scale technology is not important without the people who create and use it. Every team, every engineer, every analyst is the heart of IBM. Without their dedication, without their belief in the dream, no Watson, no supercomputer could change the world. And when I look back on the journey from punch cards in a dark workshop to artificial intelligence and quantum systems, I understand that the main thing in this story is not machines, not contracts, not numbers. The main thing is the courage of people who are not afraid to fall, get up, take risks, and move forward, even when the whole world doubts. Today, IBM proves that risk, perseverance, and belief in a dream can create the future. We are more than technology. We are a team that believes that even the most daring ideas can become reality if we don't stop and move forward. And it is this spirit that makes us look to the future with inspiration, knowing that everything we do today shapes tomorrow for the whole world. And here we were again at a crossroads. The world was changing rapidly. Cloud technologies, mobility, big data, all this threatened us, even giants like IBM. Doubts arose within the company. Some said, "We have lost the rhythm. We are no longer innovators. We are just an old brand." I could feel the tension in the offices and labs growing every day. There were times when I wanted to shout, "We're stronger than we think." But instead, my team and I sat down at our tables and started planning. Every project, every new idea seemed risky, but there was no alternative: move forward or disappear. And then we made a bold decision to completely transform IBM into a company that lives on innovation and cloud technologies, abandoning old schemes and models. Many around us criticized. "It's too expensive, it won't work, customers won't understand." But we worked nights, tested solutions, built teams, implemented cloud platforms, relied on analytics and artificial intelligence. Each successful integration became a small victory that proved that even in a crisis, you can find a chance. I remember one of our clients, initially skeptical, saying after the first project, "I didn't realize IBM was capable of this." It was a feeling that cannot be put into words. Doubt turned into trust, criticism turned into support, and risk turned into breakthrough. We learned another lesson. In the darkest moments, true strength emerges, and only those who are not afraid to change stay afloat. These unexpected twists taught us flexibility and courage. We were no longer just a manufacturer of equipment or computers. We became partners for the whole world, creating solutions that change business, science, and even people's daily lives. And even when everything looked like a crisis on the outside, inside we knew. It is through such challenges that real breakthroughs are born. This story showed us that even a company as old as IBM can learn new things, change, take risks, and become stronger if you don't give up, listen to the team, and believe in your dream. And here we are. Today, IBM is not just a company. It is a symbol of how perseverance, courage, and faith in a dream can change the world. From punch cards in a small workshop to supercomputers, artificial intelligence, and cloud platforms, our path has been long, complex, and incredibly exciting. We fell, we broke, we doubted, and at the same time we rose, created, took risks. And from each fall, we emerged stronger.